Shit, that's $30. That looks pretty cool.
Someone else has a dragon? Nice.
Yeah, I got it.
The reason why I use this guy for the Bone Dragon build is because he has spec into like 50% more damage for the first ammo and last ammo. Some Bone Dragons only have one round. Stacks like crazy. Do the same with Prism too, I think, because Prism is one wielding Prism. His lucky shot did.
I don't play the doggo, so I don't know.
Man, this gun is awesome. I don't even have to aim. No, the gun you get getting above the pen.
Clap.
I think so.
Gloves. Just
Rainbow?
Oh. We have people here.
Anybody want fire enthusiast?
I know, but I'll drop it for you.
I don't want it.
I'll take it if you're not dropping it for you.
I'm gonna hold on to it just in case of a crate. a red crate once it pops up. But unless you're using it, then I.
It's rare that I build it, but sometimes I do.
So easy. Everyone should just go bone dragon.
Jeez. It's really well. It's really well. Vault. Bone dragon on foot.
Anyone need elemental?
What is it?
Well, I just got called elemental.
A big hippo? No, I'm good. Wait, what is it?
Elemental wave. Element damage will
Cut off head.
cause. I'm just lagging.
I'm gonna drop this if anyone.
Yo, Vault. It's got left?
Does not like me at all. I get it. Glitched. Oh no, you didn't finish the revive.
Thought I had it.
It's worth
You got him.
Uh-oh.
Just finish it.
She had to find a job. Save this.
Just finish him. Finish him. Shut up. Oh yeah. Super tanky.
Bone dragons.
Alright, Halo, you ready again?
He's
Oh yeah, go in here. What about these?
Oh, that's
Yeah. Stay back. It's like the place.
Wait. Just finish.
Oh yeah, way back. They got snipers that shoot from far, and they hit really hard.
Yeah, they one shot.
Like homing missiles on.
Oh shit. We got two like
I love this gun so much. I can literally shoot people around corners. It's great. Oh,
Which gun is it?
the rainbow.
Yeah, you gotta be behind cover.
Maybe that helps.
I'm in a minute.
Sniper.
Thank you.
Downhill.
Vault here. I want to stay all the way down.
Fire got me that time.
Yeah, I dashed into the fire.
Oh, I'm getting burned.
Are we got a vault? Such a challenge. Nice.
There's another one back here too, Halo.
Grab this one first because it's less annoying. No! Who did that?
My bad, wrong button.
Ah, I risked it for the better one, didn't get it. Damn.
Ah, shit, I did that.
They should add like a way to cancel it. It'd be pretty cool. Huh?
That'd be really nice.
That's probably good. that what that
What
is?
it does? Ah.
I think it's half the damage. What if you put up like
I got him.
There's a craftsman ring. This Dragon Chaser is pretty cool if you haven't used it yet.
oh I haven't. Let's see what it is.
You right click and it marks a spot, and wherever you shoot, it shoots that spot. So you can mark someone's head, like a boss's head, and just like shoot and aim there all the time.
Oh, that's what I've been doing with the rainbow.
It's like an upgraded version. I think it does work in.
Oh, that's pretty far.
Ultimate headshots. Ultimate crit.
That's insane.
You
It's
get
broken.
one with like +2 projectiles, and then it's completely broken. Damage with whatever you do.
Insane.
Voice cut. Purpose done. Good.
You see these guys? These guys are
Yeah, they will. They headbutt. I guess I'm like the one with original. Wait, I'm aggroed by this guy. What? Oh shit.
It's a crit spot.
percent sure.
Oh fuck. Fault right here.
Yeah, fall. Yo, this is a challenge. Just keep running. We're gonna.
Good aggro from.
Halo can get me.
On my way.
Don't worry about that dude. Just grab him.
Shit.
Don't worry about resing me. I'm just gonna get in the way.
Got it. Anybody want paranormality? Doubles your shield, but makes your HP go lower. Shit. I don't know if we can get you. If you want to stick around, we might beat the boss.
Yeah, we probably will. Fuck! Dude,
You get that
that's me.
way.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done if I don't get revived shot.
Oh! Oh my god.
Who's this
I can't believe that worked.
Don't I can't. Wait, what happened? Were you down?
Yeah. Nah, I was
He
at
was
the very
down at the
bottom. I
bottom of
didn't
the
think I
pillar
could
and
get
revived
you.
you.
Wait, how'd you do it?
I didn't think- You guys are pretty much done, right? Or did you get the check-in chest yet?
I did.
What about you, Halo? Did you get it
Yeah,
yet?
I got it. Just struggling to do the puzzle again.
It takes a little while. It gets easier if you get like movement speed or more dash charges.
Yeah, you did.
And then you want to be like using or holding the light weapon.
Yeah, hold your number 3 weapon.
Prism.
Whatever the shotgun is. Specializing in corrosion.
Whoa. How did I die?
Got saved by the trigger.
Oh, I didn't mean it. Drop that double shield scroll.
You dropped it.
It's behind this stage. We'll have to kill these four. Big guys.
Why me?
Alright, you go.
I'm just confused on why it went for me, the one who's probably doing the least amount of damage out of the 3 of us.
You recognize your weakness.
We were bowling pins and we liked the way you looked, I guess.
Try and get that kitty
Don't
cat.
forget to go back to your scroll.
Oh yeah, there's a good scroll I left back there. I don't like it, but
So slow with no extra dashes. As a stage is not.
the huge.
Ow.
Just this one. These were going fast.
Big guy's up here by me.
Okay. Let's grab the big guy.
That was terrifying.
Should he dive in front of my face? I was scared. Chest down.
Nice. I'm surprised we cleared that.
Try and bring back Vanguard.
Oh guys, there's a vault back here.
Oh shit. Okay.
That's this lizard.
Yeah, it
sure.
should be. I hope we beat him. I would feel so bad if we wasted your time, but you can match up with us again. If everyone else is playing. Is that guy selling dragon bone for you? Trade a very good prism.
I'm gonna drop these scroll. That's spec'd into.
Yeah, I'm not gonna spend that.
That's not terrifying at all.
Its mouth for. Don't stay in it. Yeah, don't get shot. How did I not take damage? Tough, actually. I don't know.
Don't worry about getting me. Just finish it.
Oh boy. I didn't get that second rolls on one for the bone dragon.
Alright guys, I am actually done for now, so just throw me out.
Gunfire Reborn is what happens when you take a Chinese developer and get him to make a combination of Dead Cells, Risk of Rain 2 and Borderlands all mashed together with an art style that looks right out of a Blizzard game. Looking at this thing from a distance and then even initially playing it, it feels like one of those games that I should be linking my credit card to, spending hundreds of real dollars to buy in-game currency to spend on characters and unlockables. It looks like the type of game I should be seeing a pre-roll ad for on YouTube or something. But it's not. Instead, it's a really fun little shooter on Steam that no one seems to even talk or know about, and one that's more addictive than snorting heroin out of the back arch of a supermodel. And also, like my biological father, this thing just came out of nowhere and it did its darndest to win me over. And you know what? It succeeded, unlike a certain would-be father. Anyway, developed by a Hong Kong developer, this is a first-person roguelike shooter and an RPG where you explore somewhat randomly generated levels, collecting weapons, opening chests to find powerful scrolls and ascensions to buff your hero, along with leveling up in between runs by spending soul essences. You buy items and weapons from peddlers, you upgrade your guns with craftsmen, and you just shoot everything else. It's got a dash move because every FPS these days apparently has to have one, but otherwise it plays like a pretty standard first-person shooter, just with a whole heap of mechanics. All up in the current version of the game, there's 3 areas with 4 stages each, the 4th stage ending in a boss fight. Death is also a pretty common mechanic in this game, and yeah, you're gonna die a lot here, but you'll just get right back into it like you've got the memory of a goldfish. The reason for that is because this game is incredibly fun and addictive, and within the first 24 hours of buying it, I'd spent 12 of those playing it. Once you start playing this, you'll probably start to see the Borderlands vibe too. The shooting feels very similar, with enemies having health bars and weapons having elemental effects that work better against certain enemy types. Enemies with blue bars, for instance, means they've got a shield, which is susceptible to shock weapons. Enemies with yellow bars have armor, which are more responsive to corrosive weapons. And then once that's all been stripped off, a good fire weapon's gonna make short work of what's left. When you kill a boss, they'll even spit out weapons and loot in all directions, like oh so many of Borderlands bosses. The whole thing starts off pretty simple, mostly because the health points for enemies are so low that it doesn't really matter what guns you're using. But once you start getting into the later stages, you're going to have to really start playing smart and using these elemental effects to your advantage. Now, Gunfire supports up to 4 players in co-op, and I'd really recommend it if you can. I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing solo. I've done my best work when I'm all alone, but the thing is that the weapon limit in this game is only 2 guns. My point is that if you're carrying a fire and a shock weapon, that still means you're not going to be as effective if you come up against someone with armor. So if you're playing with a mate who's got a corrosive weapon, it's going to make things a lot easier. Not to mention, just like most things, it's more fun with a friend.
Oh, mate.
The only problem with co-op play currently is that if someone dies, you have to then beat the entire area before they're revived, boss and all. Now this might be fine, except that extra players multiplies a boss's health points by like 2 or 3 times. And when a player is dead, the boss's health pool doesn't go back down, so you're up against an enemy that's balanced towards 3 people attacking it. I think that Gunfire's gunplay, say that 5 times fast, is also what makes this whole thing so addictive. Like, this is some pretty damn tight shooting. Weapons are really creative visually, even though they're just basically fancy looking versions of submachine guns, assault rifles and sniper rifles. You've also got a minigun, a rocket launcher, and then what's basically a goddamn BFG. You can even unlock Mushu from Mulan and carry him around on your wrist like your very own portable flamethrower. Your starting gun is a revolver with 9 shots that actually does pretty decent damage, and it always scales with the player, along with having infinite ammo so you've got a backup in every situation. There's no iron sights here, so get used to hip firing, but some weapons like rifles and crossbows do have scopes and others have alternate fire modes. Like this shock rifle's got an alternate fire mode that drops down a circular field, and then shots that pass through that field do extra damage. Weapons are then further improved with what the game calls extractions. I mean, I think. It's kind of hard to tell because there is a bit of a sense of descriptions being lost in translation here. To be honest, the game doesn't do the best job of explaining how a lot of this stuff works. Like, there's combinations you can make with elements which even have unique effects. But unless I'm missing it, it was never really shown to me how these combinations work during gameplay. Basically what the game calls extractions, I think are just supposed to be buffs to a weapons, like decreased reload times, critical hit damage, and I even found a crossbow that had a chance to spawn little fireballs on top of enemies that I was shooting at, which was as broken as it sounds. To unlock all of these weapons, you just need to play the game. There's no microtransactions, battle passes, or nothing. I mean, not yet anyway. You got a pretty basic lineup to begin with, and then guns are unlocked by meeting some kind of requirement, which is usually killing a certain amount of enemies, or killing them in a specific way, like through fire damage or critical hits. This is where the game kind of reminded me of Dead Cells as well. Like, I remember Dead Cells had a pretty similar method for unlocking that game's large arsenal. One of my favourite weapons in this is a shuriken that you can throw out that does corrosive damage, along with bouncing all over the walls, and when you're spamming this thing and they're pinging all over the place, it's just pretty satisfying to watch. Enemy designs are also creative and appealing. The first boss is a giant yeti looking thing that has an introduction that's almost identical to the Bullymong from Borderlands 2. You've got what looks like those terracotta statues come to life in the first area. The second, you're in a desert because it seems all of these roguelike games have to have some kind of desert level by law. And now you're fighting lizards that throw out fireballs and bandits with sniper rifles. That's kind of part of the charm, I think, too, is just this effortless appeal that the presentation has. It's got that kind of art style you'd see in a Blizzard game like Overwatch or World of Warcraft. Probably, I think, stemming from the game's Asian developer, but it's just such an aesthetic backdrop to all of the mayhem. Currently in the game, there's two heroes, a cat and a dog. Now, I think the dog is called Ao Bao, though I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. And the cat, from what I can understand in the menu, is just called the Crown Prince, though he looks like an Asian version of Puss in Boots. To make things easier, though, I'm just going to call them Catman and Dog Boy. Right, so Catman is simple enough, and he's the first one you get to play. His abilities are pretty straightforward. Like Dog Boy, he can use any weapon he comes across, and his first ability is what looks like an acid bomb, but is actually a corrosive smoke grenade. You throw this thing out, and it applies a damage over time debuff to enemies unlucky enough to inhale it. It's kind of like a fibrous, broccoli-laden fart. It affects all who go too close. The other ability is an energy orb, which he throws out in a straight line, able to lock enemies in place for a couple of seconds, along with doing some pretty tidy damage. With a second player, you can use this to effectively lock down tougher opponents and single them out. Now, Dog Boy is the same, but then kind of different. For starters, he's not available to play until you've hit level 30, which is something that took me about 5 hours to get to, so keep that in mind. Along with being a good boy, this guy's also an explosive expert, able to throw out a grenade instead of the smoke bomb, which just detonates on impact, doing base damage. But more importantly, his skill is being able to dual wield weapons, at which point you turn into the Gunzerker from Borderlands 2. With weapons in each hand, you become pretty damn overpowered, shredding through some of the bosses, but also just giving you a lot more DPS against the standard enemies. It also opens up a whole new aspect to the gunplay because you can hold different elemental weapons in each hand. Keep a shock weapon in the left hand and a corrosive weapon in the right, saving you from having to swap back and forth in combat. Now, the Scrolls and Ascensions is where you can really start to customize these heroes, making them work for your particular playstyle. Scrolls are upgrades that cover more general mechanics like increasing your movement speed or the cooldown on your dash move. Aside from finding these in chests, there's also hidden vaults, which are portals behind weak walls you can move through to complete challenges and even more encounters. Ascensions, though, are what relates to the hero you're playing as. Now, these are upgrades for your specific skills, broken down into 3 categories. Again, kind of reminding me of the Scrolls in Dead Cells. With the energy orb, for instance, you can get Ascensions that make it hold enemies in place for 2 or even 4 seconds longer. You can make it so the orb has a chance to detonate multiple times, or just increase the amount of charges it has before cooldown. The smoke grenade Ascensions are really useful too, tapping into the elemental mechanics of the gunplay. You can really use these to your advantage now, making it so enemies under the smoke grenade's effect take increased damage and a bunch of other debuffs that heavily swing things in the player's favour. With Dog Boy, his Ascensions are focused more towards his dual wielding skill and grenades. You can even increase the dual wielding duration to the point where it keeps getting extended for every 20 shots you take. At one point I even had it going for well over a minute. There's even an achievement for it. During the boss fight in the second level, I had it active the entire time. This poor desert lobster didn't even know what the hell hit him. For his grenades, you can make it so they do increased damage, you can hold a higher capacity, or even being able to throw out 2 at a time instead of 1. It just becomes laughably overpowered. And that's really the whole good and the bad thing about this game in its current state, is the balancing or the often lack thereof. The difficulty spikes in this thing often come out of nowhere, like someone's just done a drive-by and slapped you in the face with a wet fish. You're just left standing there wondering what the hell it was that hit you. There's definitely problematic enemies. Problematic. Can I still say that in 2020? And there'll be times when you've got a full shield and health, but then in the blink of an eye, you'll just lose all of it. I mean, look, it's kind of what you'd expect for a game that's been out for barely a week, but it is going to be a bit of a turn-off, I think, for some players. One of the most important skills you've got in this game is the dash move, and you can pretty much always avoid damage if the timing is right. Emphasis on the word timing here. The first boss, for instance, I think initially is just going to tear you in your asshole. You'd swear he's attacking you with fridges for hands or something because of just how long his hitbox is. But then once you get that timing down, it just becomes trivial. The dash move distance seems short, but it's short for a reason. It's encouraging skillful play and memorizing the timing and patterns of enemy attacks. Spamming that dash move over and over like you're having a seizure on top of the shift button isn't going to work well. Also, a lot of the basic enemies in this game still hit you really hard. Those lizards you come up against in the second area throw fireballs that do AoE damage for a good 5 to 10 seconds. And if you're hit by one of those things directly, well, let me just say, I hope you've got all of your affairs in order. Still, you are going to need to upgrade your hero, or else you're going to be moving up shit creek backwards without a paddle. Now, upgrading isn't really going to make you invincible, but it's just going to give you a bit more leeway when it comes to the amount of stuff you can get away with. Throughout each run, you're always collecting soul essence from killed enemies, and once you've got enough soul essence, you can then use it to spend on a couple of dozen different skill trees at the end of a run. And there's just so much stuff here to unlock, it's like looking at some kind of corporate slideshow or something. It's overwhelming. It's really just kind of tapping into that grindy aspect of these kind of shooters, and let me just say, you're not going to be maxing this thing out anytime soon. After 15 hours of game time, I'd barely scratched the surface. There is upgrades to try to lessen the grind though. You can make it so you carry across more of these souls at the end of each run instead of having to lose the ones you don't spend, along with upgrades that allow the bosses to drop more essence. So on the one hand, you're getting a whole lot of value out of the whole thing, but then on the other, it can come across as grindy and repetitive. I guess it's just up to the player's perspective as to which way they want to look at it. I think the major issue the game has, which again isn't really its fault, just that it's an early access game, is that it's really light on the environments. I think it would definitely benefit from having a route system like Dead Cells where you can choose which area you want to go to next. And obviously it also needs way more characters to play as. As much as I love Dog Boy and Catman, they are starting to get a bit old. I'm surprised too though how Gunfire is still packed with so many little quality of life features. Like for instance, if another player walks in front of you, you can still shoot and throw grenades through them without them bouncing back and hitting you in the face like it does in Borderlands. Their player model's also going to become transparent so you can see through them as well, making it even easier. Loot is also unique to every player, so you don't have to worry about people rushing in and scooping up the best loot that's dropped or that's come out of a nearby chest. You can take your time and examine something at your own pace, and if you do want to share an item with someone, you can easily drop it for them to pick up.
Anybody want the Mushu Dragon?
Hell yeah. Sure do.
Here you go.
To be honest, lag was a bit of an issue during some of our co-op games, which might have been client-side, it's kinda hard to tell. But I can excuse it for the moment, seeing the game is still in its infancy, so yeah, I'm willing to let it slide. I don't expect a little indie game to have dedicated servers or anything. At the time I made this video, I had close to 20 hours of game time and I still hadn't managed to beat the whole thing. And even though there's not all that much content in the game, even in its current state, there's just so much to enjoy here. It's full of character and charm, it has satisfying gunplay, addictive gameplay, and a whole lot of replayability. If you're not a fan of difficult roguelikes and don't like the prospect of having to restart an entire run due to a death that was probably your fault anyway, then this is probably not the game for you. But as far as games go that let you shoot mythical creatures as a gun and a magic-wielding dog or cat, it's really unrivaled and it should be treasured at all costs. You can pick it up on Steam at the moment for $17 reduced, and if you ask me, that's damn good value.
Serious Sam is a game series, and I know what you're thinking. Where's Pro Serious Sam, Civvy? I'm not a pro at Serious Sam. I tell you guys all about it, but I usually play on normal because I don't actually enjoy my games being frustrating and a pain in the ass, and Serious Sam, well, loves being that. All over, a lot of the time. And I could go through every single Serious Sam game individually, I mean...
And you will.
How's that?
Give him the list.
Serious Sam, the first encounter. Serious Sam, the second encounter. Serious Sam 2. Serious Sam 3. The upcoming Serious Sam 4, Planet Badass.
Oh, you don't know, do ya?
My memory banks are stored with the entire Steam library.
Those aren't even a list of the Serious Sam games I own. Let's count them down. Serious Sam Classic, the first encounter. Serious Sam Classic, the second encounter. Serious Sam 2, Serious Sam 3 BFE, Serious Sam HD the first encounter, Serious Sam HD the second encounter, Serious Sam Random Encounter, Serious Sam Double D, Serious Sam Classics Revolution, Serious Sam Next Encounter, Serious Sam Advance, Serious Sam VR First Encounter, Second Encounter, Last Hope, and BFE, Serious Sam Kamikaze Attack, Serious Sam's Bogus Detour, and there's one called Serious Sam Tormental that just entered early access that I've never even heard of when I was searching for the fucking Serious Sam games for this gag in this video. But I don't want to talk about all those games. I don't even want to talk about Serious Sam at all because I don't think it would make for an interesting video to dissect Serious Sam. Because while I enjoy some Serious Sam from time to time, most of these games are designed to test my fucking patience. That's why I play them on normal. I'm going to go through the big three main entries in the series using first and second encounter HD. Serious Sam 2, which believe it or not isn't second encounter, but it's its own game, which came out in 2005, because when I asked people, hey, you played Serious Sam 2, they're like, yeah, I played that. It was the one in like South America and then Babylon and then medieval times with that giant castle battle at the end, right? And I'm like, no, it's not. But we'll get to that. And Serious Sam 3 BFE, which stands for Before First Encounter, and you'll see why. You'll all see why. So let's start at the beginning. As in, there's a canon to these games, get it, canon, about a really tough Duke Nukem-like dude named Sam Serious Stone, who is the best at killing aliens, and so he got sent back in time at the end of Serious Sam 3, which hadn't happened in First Encounter, so that's left unexplained at the beginning of... But to explain Serious Sam's mechanics would be redundant a lot of the time, because it's such standard FPS stuff. Guns, monsters, rooms, shoot, move, continue. Sam is aided by a neural interface called Natrixa, which catalogs his weapons and objectives and enemies and leaves these little message notifications at the bottom of the screen that piss me off. We're gonna call her Nettie. Basically, Serious Sam is a horde shooter. It's not the return of classic FPS design, because it's just not, even if half the weapons are basically Doom and Quake guns, like the shotgun, the super shotgun, the chain gun, the rocket launcher, the obligatory energy weapon that has projectiles that do more damage than the chain gun, but you have to factor in travel time, and the grenade launcher, and then the BFG of the game, the cannon, which shoots a bigger projectile that explodes and can bolt through enemies. The cannon makes its return in Serious Sam 2 with all these dials and shit on it, and it's really shiny. Virtually unchanged from Serious Sam 1, which is good. The cannon is a standout weapon in the series, as iconic as the guns get in these games. I mean, what else is there? Yeah, I guess the minigun too. Whenever you get the minigun in a Serious Sam game, you know shit's about to go down. My favorite weapon personally is the laser gun, which is in first and second encounter, and in 2 it's basically absent and replaced with a plasma gun, which I guess is a bit more like Quake 3's plasma gun than Doom's. And that game's weapons are a whole other can of worms. Anyway, what I can say about Serious Sam First Encounter is that it's a fine demonstration of Crow Team's Serious engine, which was very pretty for the time. This here is Serious Sam HD, so it's harder to judge. I mean, shooters had moved away from having tons of enemies on screen around the time of Quake, Because, 3D graphics is a lot harder on the system than sprites, so this was a big leap. This is an interview I dug up. I remember reading it a really long time ago. It's from Old Man Murray. You guys remember Old Man Murray? There was this interview with Roman Rabarek, the head honcho over at Crow Team. I've been looking at this article for weeks. What the fuck is some enlightening stuff here? Like, did you know that Ion Storm has a bigger staff than that devoted to brushing John Romero's hair? Bullshit, that man's mane is a sign of virility, and people who live in houses designed like big boxes connected by bare hallways shouldn't throw stones. Follow-up, to what do you attribute the fact that the Serious Sam Alpha test version 0.06 is clearly 1,000 times better than Daikatana? This was like a year before Daikatana came out. First, everything is bright, sunny, big, and beautiful. Second, chipping loads of enemies at the same time gives even more decoration to this environment. And third, frantic action feeling. So Serious Sam comes out in 2001 and takes the budget game world by storm by ignoring everything Half-Life did. Basic design of a Serious Sam game, you have arenas, and those arenas are connected, and sometimes you can go through them, and sometimes you have to kill everything before you can leave, or collect 4 scarabs, or collect 4 bananas, or collect...
Glug,
eight fucking gas
looks like I'm
canisters?
gonna need some more.
So let's get in our big time travel condoms and sort this whole Serious Sam thing out. Where am I? CV-11, as Uncle has now been captured, there is no reason not to send you back to... Unfortunately, you were responsible for damaging government property. Uh-huh. I'm just gonna try adjust your cell point settings real quick, buddy, okay?
Oh.
Hey man, that was just Bance. It's cool, we're cool.
I choke you a little while you sleep.
I have been sounding different. Over modem? Yeah, we're not doing that. That's not happening without a time machine. I mean, do you guys have a time machine? Serious Sam's level design is what sets it apart from something like Doom, because where Doom could be complex or even as... Oh, should I do it?
Do it.
Yeah, okay. Doom's level design could be dead simple. So your normal Serious Sam level in first encounter is like this. Big arena, hallway, big arena, and a couple levels have smaller locations inside. But that's not what the game is about. It's about being fucking huge and over the top. Passes that test with flying colors. It has more in common with something like Smash TV in terms of gameplay than it does with Doom or Quake or Duke Nukem, which is why I've always been baffled by the comparison to classic FPS. And in second encounter, the levels were a little more varied, where you had traps in certain areas that had like jump pads and messed with gravity. Some people say that the gameplay of Serious Sam is press S and hold down mouse 1, which is sometimes true. It has some movement and you have to dodge, but a lot of that is still walking backwards, and the designers knew this because Serious Sam, more than it is a game, is a spectacle to see how fucking ridiculous it can get, culminating in Serious Sam 2. I want to get the basics of Serious Sam 1 out of the way first though. Serious Sam 2 is a fucking insane drug-fueled fever dream that Crow Team probably worked really hard on and spent a lot of time developing.
Hi, Sam. No, don't look around. It's me, Nettie.
Nettie?
Natrixa, but Nettie to my friends.
Natrissa? Nettie, you can talk.
Yes, it's a bit complicated. Let's just say that it has something to do with having a bigger game budget.
What game budget?
Okay, so you got your arenas, right, your hallways, but it's different. See, for one, it's gotten a hell of a graphical upgrade from Serious Sam 1. It's bright and clean and shiny and like a cartoon. Even Sam looks different. Look at him on the cover of Serious Sam 1 and then on 2. And the tone of Serious Sam 2 is kind of like in the first game, but amplified. Also, this game has a physics engine. It's not a great physics engine, and when you stack boxes to platform on, it's nearly goddamn impossible to keep them in the place you want because nothing really has any weight to it. You're not going to see 20 seesaw puzzles. It's like... And the platforming in this game is awkward as fuck, right? Because the environments are a lot more detailed, I guess, but you slip around like when you jump in this game, and then you land, it's like your knees bend, but then you jump again before they're done, so it looks like you're double jumping, but in a really shitty way that sucks. God damn it! Serious Sam 2 is slightly different with the arsenal. Like, you get an auto shotgun to start with, which is this giant, unwieldy thing that rotates. Guess it's better than Serious Sam 1's shotgun, which fucks with me so hard. Even in the HD remaster, that pump doesn't go anywhere. Why? And then in Serious Sam 2, instead of a Tommy gun, you get dual Uzis like in Next Encounter, the console one. And they eject 3 bullet casings instead of 1. What the fuck? The minigun is the same. The Klodovic is a parrot with a bomb on it that flies kind of slow but homes in and can be really useful for the 10,000 fucking flying enemies in this game, because there's 10,000 flying enemies, including robots, whatever the fuck these things are, witches, and harpies. Harpies don't change much between the games, except they have tits now.
Hey, baby, was your daddy a pilot? Because you are really freaking ugly.
And I don't want Katie to spend all day putting black boxes over them. At least not this time. YouTube doesn't care if they're hideously ugly. It's verboten if somebody can crank to it. This absolute unit of a super shotgun. I love it.
They made the guns even bigger since the last game.
The old one was kind of boring, but this one's just ridiculous. I miss the old shotgun. Serious Sam's enemy roster is kinda small starting out, which leads to it getting repetitive. In First Encounter, you got your headless enemies, regular ones, grenade ones who explode when they die, the ones that shoot a few projectiles you have to jump over, and the kamikazes, you know, the kamikazes.
Ah, put a sock in it. Uh-oh.
The kamikazes are exactly the same in Serious Sam 1 and 3, but in 2 they're like... What? And also you've got Nars, which aren't even an enemy in 2. They're just around doing stuff.
5 million clear dramas? It's a ripoff! I think I need to have a little chat with the clerk. Look, I don't have that kind of money.
Then you can go back.
Hurry up! But I'm here to free the universe from mental.
Hurry up, man!
Yeah, just a second.
Sorry, no can do.
I really don't have time for this. So, raise the ramp and hand over the cash, bitch! That felt good.
And they come back in 3, but in First Encounter there are 3 types of them. And there's the little ones, the floating head ones, and the standard ones that'll be around forever. Then you got the werebulls. The werebulls kind of simulate fighting bulls, as you'd expect. You shoot and then dodge, and they turn, rush you again, you finish them off. They're wind-up toy rhinos. So the bullfighting is against rhinos. You got your little reptiloids with homing projectiles and your big reptiloids with homing projectiles. You've got your little robots with lasers and the big ones with rocket launchers that you meet in the first level in this secret that's... Okay, when Serious Sam is dull and shitty and dickish, it's like this. This could be the first secret you ever find in the game, and it spawns 5 of these things, and there's a fair number of projectiles in Serious Sam that you can shoot down, like these rockets. And if you're armed with pistols, that sucks. So go get the secret rocket launcher and you'll be set. Yeah, first area secrets like this telephone booth.
Hello? Blondie, is it you?
No, it's Jones.
Ah, when will he come?
He will come when he's done, boy.
Done with what? I've been waiting forever for him to show up.
This came out 9 years before Duke Nukem Forever.
He must be the one. You said the same thing for that Blondie guy a few years ago, and look what happened.
Oh, him! But it took him forever to even try.
This came out 6 years before Duke Nukem Forever. So the story of Serious Sam 2 is that you're Serious Sam, fresh off of shooting up 4 different areas